Good morning. Now, it wasn't that an interesting election night? But I still, when I went to bed, they were still counting. And I really haven't checked yet today. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm going to go on about other news stories and give my feeling. I did my feeling last night. But we'll sit back, get your cup of coffee, hot chocolate, pop, whatever you like, orange juice, OJ, and we'll discuss today's topics. Well, Gregor Robertson, the mayor of Vancouver, announced that the city could be hit with a king tide and that they want to start sandbagging low lying homes and such. This happened, I'm interested, back in 2004, and it makes me wonder why wasn't more done at that time? Why do we have to go and do a pre or why do we have to go and protect all this land again? Why weren't more measures put in place before? People could say, "Oh well, we didn't think it would ever happen again," and this is garbage. We keep saying, "Oh, natural disasters are never going to happen," and then after we keep saying, "Well, why wasn't something done?" This could have been prevented. And okay, we're going to race around now, fill up our sandbags, and place them all around areas that could be affected. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not against this. However, why couldn't more permanent measures be taken place than waiting for this to happen? Oh well, we don't want to spend money unless it's absolutely necessary. But instead, we're going to take a look every couple of years that this thing is going to happen. And I think the taxpayers of Vancouver deserve better. But I guess it's kind of like, well, the mayor is doing something, which is garbage. I mean, this should have been taken care of a number of times before. We know that in these situations that Locarno gets hit, while even Jericho can get hit. Kitsilano has a little bit of an incline, so it's not such a big area. But what else are we not prepared for? They keep saying that, the earthquake, the big one's coming. Well, what's being done? Does anyone know what plans have been put into place? And shouldn't we, as citizens, know what steps have been put into place? Or do we just sit here and wait and say, "Oh, well, let's race around and try to find out things"? Now, I know a number of schools in Vancouver have containers full of stuff that can be used in an emergency. I don't know if that happens out here. No one has ever told us what sort of emergency procedures are in place. Are we all supposed to run around with our heads cut off like chickens? because no one really knows what to do? It's I'm pretty sure Burnaby would have something like that. But yet, on the other hand, no one's told anyone of this. So we need to know what is available. We're all told that we need to have emergency kits. And, we all being told that we need to have water, clothes, a radio. If you have medical conditions, you need to have more stuff. And if we have to evacuate, who's going to carry all of this stuff? Power could be out. People aren't going to be able to run around and look for where they can go to get stuff. Would it not be a great idea that someone on the city councils or the GVRD or whoever gets out and tells people what they can expect, where to go, where to meet up with other people? No, we're supposed to walk around and, can't see anything. Haven't we learned from, what was the last one? Italy and Japan, and where all these natural disasters have happened? Can't we take those areas and learn from and come out with a plan that could actually work? I don't think we really know what to expect. Face it, our last natural disaster here was back in the early 2000s, probably 2004, where the seawall got hit and the big windstorm and, trees were falling all over the place in Stanley Park. Stanley Park looked like a war zone. But we need to prepare ourselves, and besides doing up these emergency kits for ourselves, where do we go to get other things if your house is totally demolished or your apartment becomes unlivable? What are we really supposed to do? Wait around till a fire truck or whatever comes by and tells us what to do? The Philippines were hit by a tidal wave years ago, and they were unprepared. So as British Columbians, as members of the citizens of Burnaby or the citizens of Vancouver, get out and demand some answers? Or are we just supposed to sit here, smile, and say, oh, well, our city will take care of everything? Well, face it, guys, the city's not going to take care of everything. You need to know before the big one hits. You need to know where you can go and get supplies. Or, I don't know, blankets, or find some clean water, or all of these items. But we get complacent and we learn that things are never as they seem. So just thinking that we're going to be safe does not make us so. We need to get out and we need to ensure that we know exactly what is out there. So if your city works off the ward system, find who your city council member is and find out exactly what is the emergency plan. And don't be happy with, oh, I'll get back to you. Have some damn hard questions ready for them. Don't just be happy with the results, the complacency, 911 will be swamped. You're not going to be able to get out there and get any answers from 911. So you need to have prepare your family plan, have a change of clothes, take a couple of blankets, because you may not be able to get back into your house or the apartment building you're in. We hope that a lot of these buildings will be able to withstand earthquakes and such, but are they? How do we know? And if something does come out of these earthquakes or tsunamis or king tides, that we need to know what sort of plan we have in place. And if we don't have one in place, well, we better start working and get one into place. You need to carry more medical stuff, and if you can't get it, what are you supposed to do then? People seem to think, oh, well, if it's an emergency, I just have to go to a grocery store and get food or a drugstore and get drugs. Face it, guys, they're not going to be open. You need to be able to have a plan and come up with a plan and have these non-perishable food items for yourself. It's something we really need to take heed of and really learn. Okay, so Kelowna is having a bear problem. Imagine that. A wilderness city, or a city situated in a wilderness, has a bear problem. Well, that's nothing new for residents of the Lower Mainland. We have it all the time. And bears and other wildlife keep coming to get into our garbage because they're looking for food. Now, it hasn't been a bylaw out here for years. But do we need to stop and make sure that we have bear-proof garbage boxes? The retail stores that sell food have metal containers set out by the province or the municipalities. And, that could be fine. But, the enclosures built around them, bears and wildlife can crawl in and climb into those. Do we have any stopgaps for wildlife? I don't think we do. Again, can we roll this into our first topic about planning for the inevitable? North Vancouver, Deep Cove, Squamish have dealt with these for years. And every winter you hear about them. And, when food becomes scarce and we have mild winters, bears come out of hibernation and they come looking for food. Now, I know the building I live in most of the time has things under lock and key. And we live fairly close to a wilderness track. I'll say that. But it's not bears, it's more coyotes which are roaming around. And I think we really need to, we have to put out our canisters and they sit there all night. For example, last night our organic foods sat out there. And are we attracting more wildlife by having this organic food? I know when I was growing up and kids, we would always have dogs going through the garbage, or well, what we thought were dogs. Doesn't necessarily mean that it was dogs, but they did go through our garbage. And there were more than one time I was out there picking up the garbage, putting it back in the garbage can. It was extremely hot in here. I had to open up windows and cool down a bit and take my shirt off, and we'll wait and see. I'll probably have to go back and put it on in a moment. But wildlife coming into our neighborhoods, we keep encroaching on their space. So, do we really want to keep controlling them? Bear traps and how we use tranquilizer darts, and we keep pulling them out further and further. But, our cities keep growing and growing, and yet, is it their fault that their food and their hunting grounds have been taken away? I think that people need to wake up and realize that we can't just keep going in there and trying to take away more land. It's not kind of like they know what's going on. And let's just keep killing them off. And if that's the case, then, we're not going to know what a bear is or what a fox or a wolf is in a few generations, because, how they're impeding on our way of life. And it's really needed. Well, I'm sorry. I think we have to be a little bit more diligent in the way we handle our animals. And, maybe we need to put food out in the forest so they're not coming close to our areas. But, that would be tax dollars. And, it's all about mankind and human race and everything. So, where does that leave our poor animals? It leaves our poor animals dying of starvation or coming and trying to get the food. So, it would be great if they were all nice and, the cans were all put back. But that isn't the case. And it's just that they're hunting. And, I think a lot of the Lower Mainland area doesn't have a cold winter. And I think that's part of the problem. If we had a colder winter, the bears would, get fat during the summer and then would come down into the Lower Mainland. Now, Burnaby and such, we are pretty safe from, these animals. But when you are up and you're in North Vancouver and such, it's a pretty regular occurrence. So don't be hard on our furry friends. Yes, they'll come in and yes, they'll try to get food from us. But, don't call conservation first step. So, oh yes, that they'll get killed and, they get put in their place. I don't think we really need that. I think we need to be more complacent and taking time to lead. Okay, it's bedtime here, so I'm just going to make a few more U.S. political. Um, it seems like Donald Trump could win. Now, a Canadian website, immigration website, has crashed because people are wanting to leave the States and come to Canada. One thing I think is vitally important is that many Canadians don't know this, but usually after a president is elected, that the first foreign stop is to the Canadian Parliament and to address the joint houses. And I'm sorry, but the way he's cut down immigrants in his own country, the way that he keeps cutting down on women, I don't think he should be invited. But yet, oh well, yes, it's proper policy, and yes, we should be good neighbors, and I don't think we should really be good neighbors. I think we've got to make a stand. And I think Canada is the right country to make this stand. Do we always just have to be allies? Does Donald Trump now seem to think that we'll just all bow down and become his bitches? I think he's not that great a business guy. And, maybe I'll turn on. There we go. But yet, people seem to think he is. And I don't think, build a wall, get rid of all these people. So basically, what he's trying to do is to make it so that the white man wins again. And you know what? I think this is ridiculous. First of all, he has no experience at any level. Now, if Mr. Trump had had experience, he wouldn't have made the mistakes. And I guess obviously he didn't make the mistakes. Millions of people are not going to have medical coverage because he's going to take it all away. And, oh yes, it's going to be cheaper. And yeah, and you know what? People with pre-existing conditions are going to suffer over it. He's going to change everything, and he thinks that he's going to put Hillary Clinton in jail when it's not even, the president doesn't have that power. I'm going to instruct my attorney general to do it. Well, the judiciary branch is separate from the executive branch. And where it may be the attorney general appointed by the president may, have some say, but it doesn't mean that he will have that power. He thinks he's going to change everything and make things all better. And, I'm sorry. I think we really have to step back and say, you know what, Mr. Trump? You're not welcome up here. The people of Canada have elected officials, and I don't think the Canadian government should invite him to speak to our House of Commons. But, everyone just sort of, and he expects everyone just to bow down and to, come out and say, "Oh, yes, Mr. Trump, you're just so wonderful." I still think he doesn't have the skills to be a leader. Now, yes, you need to be a good businessman. I'll give him that. He may know how to be a good businessman, but I still think they are making, if his lead holds, that I still think he's going to be in trouble when he starts doing stuff that is going to get him impeached. And I really think Hillary would have been the better choice. But, I'm not going to call him a leader of the free world because I don't think he is leader of the free world. I think he's a pompous ass. And just because I have money, I can run my own campaign, and Utah just came in. I really feel sorry for Hillary. And I don't think Hillary is as bad as he made out to be. Donald Trump, you just kept making lies up, and because you said them, everyone seemed to think that it all became true. And you know what? I think we as Canadians have to take a stand. And I think we really have to write to Pierre Trudeau, write him a letter, write your MP, email Justin and tell Justin that we don't want Trump to come and talk to our government. But we're always supposed to be the good neighbors, and we're supposed to be so happy to support our Americans. Yes, it's been a good relationship, but I don't think that right now it is a good relationship. I don't think you guys chose the right person for the job. And, he's probably sitting there laughing and saying, "Oh, well, I pulled another one over on them." And you know what? You have made a grave error. And I know the population of Canada is going to improve. But I still don't think Donald Trump is going to be able to do all the things he thinks he's going to do. But, the states have made errors in the past, and it looks like another one is coming down the line. But what are we supposed to do? I think a stand saying that we don't want Donald Trump in our neck of the woods would be a good start. If he does win this election, but people have to, I don't think we need to be complacent with, that they've won and that it's time for a change and that he will make America great again. I am so tired of that phrase that it's just a white man's game again. And yes, I'm a white man. But I think we really have to stand up for ourselves. And, people are probably going to say, well, Canada, we're not going to come and protect you. Well, you've kept making jokes about us for years now, and maybe it's time we say goodbye to our cousins. Just because your president is the God Almighty doesn't mean that he's right. And, it's something that we really should think about. And I just hope that Clinton can still pull it off. But we'll see in the morning. Hey there. If you're interested in contacting the Prime Minister, it's pm.gc.ca. And there's a form you can fill out. And like I said, if Mr. Trump is victorious, I think we as Canadians should band together and not have him come and talk to our government of Canada. And the reason for this is his talks on minorities and his treatment of women. So I think we really need to get as many people as we do writing him, and that's the site where you can find the form and contact is pm.gc.ca. Okay, I'm gonna call it a night. And hopefully she'll be able to pull it off, and in the morning things will look better. I think it was Dewey and Truman. Everyone kind of put Dewey and voted for Dewey, and it all looked like Dewey was going to be the next president. But everyone woke up and it was Truman. So we'll see in the morning.